let's get started, Dave. So you've pulled off quite a few feats when it comes to betting odds and long shots and things like that. Now you've got this Mike Trout card. Tell me a little bit about what the Mike Trout card and what makes it such a one-of-a-kind card.
Well, first of all, it's the only one in the world, so it's all supply and demand. It's the best card he has, only one in the world, and he's the best modern-day player to ever play the sport. Like since Mickey Mantle, so probably in our lifetime, probably the best person to ever play baseball that we can visually see day in and day out. If
it's the only one of its kind, can you give us a hint?
Well, they were very strategic when Bowman made those cards. They have different colors. So I just sold a red one. A red one, there was 5 in the world. And I just sold that last month for $920,000. I paid $180,000 for it less than 2 years ago. Everyone laughed at me. And it broke a modern-day record for a modern-day card, which wasn't vintage, for $922,000. And now I'm going to break that record again, and this is going to break the all-time record. The all-time record is Honus Wagner at $3.1 million, and this is expected to go $4 million plus, which will break every single baseball card record in the history of the world. That's all I do is break records.
I think it's awesome. Now, look, for people that don't know the background, you paid $400,000 originally for the card, so you probably heard a lot of garbage when you did that.
Oh, yeah. I videotaped it. I bought it off eBay from a guy from Taiwan, didn't speak English. Of course, he looked me up and was like, oh, I don't know about you, because everyone talks about me, and I'm used to it. But I said, listen, I'll buy your airline tickets right now, and I'll PayPal you $1,000. Show him the real deal. He had to bring his brother because he didn't speak English, translator. Flew him in. Went to the bank, cut him a check for $400,000. I videotaped the whole thing. It's on my YouTube 2 years ago. And I said, mark my words, this card will break the record and hit over $5 million one day. And if you look at all the comments, 99% is you're a fool, you're dumb, you're stupid, you're going to buy a piece of cardboard, you should buy a house. Well, 2 years later, it's going to go for $4 to $5 million. And I don't think you can flip real estate like that off a piece of cardboard. I'll do it again.
Dave, before we go on, man, where did you get this background and this talent for finding these kind of things in the past? Like, when did it all start for you?
So my history is I was a sports bettor. I was a #1 sports bettor in Las Vegas. I'm the only person that would show tickets for $500,000 a game, $300,000 parlays. And when I started out, I wasn't good. I lost a lot of money. Then I became really good where I beat the casinos, as you can see right behind me. The $2.5 million jersey, I predicted the Royals to win the World Series in 2015 before first pitch ever happened, and they haven't won a World Series in 30 years. I put $100,000 and win $2.5 million, and then 2 months later, I hit the Broncos to win the Super Bowl with Peyton Manning. I put $100,000 and win $2.3 million before the season started. So I predicted everything. Once I beat all the sports books and I beat Vegas, they banned me. Then they didn't want to pay me on some of the winnings, and when I stood up for my rights, they indicted me on 19 alleged felony accounts, up to 40 years in prison. And I fought the feds for 3 years. And last year, I walked away with 0 felonies, 0 prison time. They just don't want my action in the sports book. And I have a documentary and a book about my life. But now, because I can't bet, I consult. I sell picks for a living. So people pay me every single day to tell them who's going to win. And just like my futures play, my vision, the Royals, the Broncos, all these long shots, like Holly Holm to beat Ronda Rousey, all those are UFC records. I just took my visions and talents and parlayed it into the baseball card market. I got into the market 2 years ago, dropped millions of dollars. Everyone laughed at me. And now I'm going to cash out and I'll be done and off to the next venture.
Wow. So when you talk about baseball cards, is it still a valuable thing for people to keep an eye out for, like the next best rookie card? Or
yes, especially when they only make 5 of them, 10 of them, or 1 of 1, because it's supply and demand. And just like in the auction coming out, it's going to be on Golden Auctions. Golden Auctions, Ken Golden's a great guy. It's a great auction house. And all you really need are 2 people with a lot of money and big egos. That's it. You just need 2 of them to go back and forth. And that thing I won't be surprised if it goes for over $5 million. I'm not even worried. It's going to break the record.
That's hard to believe because the Wagner card, I remember when that set the record and it was just like, how is anybody going to beat that? Man. All right, so how long do you have to wait for this? When is it closes on August 22nd or?
Yep, August 22nd. It'll be national news within an hour. Like when the red one sold for $930,000, it was on Good Morning America, USA Today, ESPN. The great thing about this auction right here, it's the first auction ever to start with a minimum bid of $1 million. So it's never happened. And already there's 7 bids. So it's you can follow it at Golden Auctions, and you'll get 5 million plus. I'm not worried.
So 7 people have already put the minimum bid down.
Well, they started off at $1 million, then went to $1,050,000, 1.1. So it's 7 bids. I track it every day.
Yeah, wow, that's exciting for you, I bet. Gee whiz.
It's just more about the record, telling people, look what I did. I think outside the box. I think unconventionally. People laughed at me for buying cardboard. And then the funny thing is, all the people that laughed at me, what I'm going to make in 2 years is more money they're ever going to make their whole years working 40 hours for 40 years for the rest of their life. And I did that off a piece of cardboard with no labor.
What did you see about the Royals? Like, to me, that particular one stands out.
No, see, what people understand is that the Royals made it to Game 6 last year. They were 1 out away. Gordon was on third. Perez popped out. If Gordon would have scored, they would have went to Game 7. They were just 1 out away from Game 7. They went the full distance. And the following year, everyone thought they were flukes. They put them at 30-1 odds. But I studied it, and they replaced a couple players. Billy Butler swapped out for Kendrys Morales. They picked up some better pitching, a better bullpen. And I was like, man, they went this far, and they're going to have experience. And experience means a lot in the playoffs, which proved the point when they played the Mets. The Mets had young pitching. Young pitching is good during the regular season, but when you get to postseason and those nerves are going, you need experience. And the Royals made it to Game 6 the year before. So at 31 odds, you can't lose, and I let it ride all the way to the bank.
It's VegasDave.com. Is that what it is?
Just go to my Instagram page. It's Vegas Dave. I mean, it's the one with the blue check mark. There's a lot of fake pages, people trying to pretend to be me, but it's Vegas Dave on Instagram. I have close to 2 million followers there, and every day I make people money. You can see all the traffic going there. I help people make money every single day, and I'm working about 18-hour days now with sports back.
Are you studying anything currently? Like, is there something when you look at the NFL season upcoming? Like, can you give us a little insight on what you're thinking?
Every day I'm executing baseball, hockey, and basketball. That's why I'm working from 2 a.m. to 10 p.m. at night, 4 hours of sleep. I'm just focused on that. When football comes, I'll get the football. But right now I got to execute for my players that are focused on these sports that are paying me. And I don't worry about the future. When the NFL comes or college comes, I'll be ready. But I just think it's going to be a wishy-washy year. I think the odds makers are not going to release lines for hours, like an hour before game, not a week before. Because say Breeze gets COVID, and the whole offensive line's out. That line can move from -7 to +20. So it's going to be crazy for the sports books. It's going to be first time anything like this has ever happened. And the casinos they're a bunch of crooks. When I beat them, they get mad at me. They only like losers. They don't like winners. So they're going to do whatever it is to protect their house. And they're going to have very short lines and release them very last minute.
Okay, so I heard that hockey's the hardest sport to win on. Is that true? And what's the hardest sport to win on? Maybe what's the most successful one you can win on?
Okay. I mean, I do good in all sports, but I would say the easiest sport is baseball. I've been doing it for 12 years. I haven't had one losing year. I mean, if people look at my social media, I'm pulling in $200,000 to $300,000 a day in package sales. People are spending $1,000 just for one pick with me. So baseball is what I'm great at. That's what the casinos ban me for. I'm a machine at baseball. I think the hardest sport, if I had to pick one, might be NBA. Pro sports, the reason is in basketball, especially NBA, you can be up by 20 in the fourth quarter and then be losing in the last minute. So in NBA, doesn't matter what happens, just turn on the last 2 minutes. It all depends on 2 things. Are they going to call fouls? Are they going to blow the whistle? And can these dudes hit their free throws? And that's basically the NBA in a nutshell for you.
So what about college sports? Is that something you stay away from?
No, college. If you study and I got a knack. That's my gift. I know how to handicap sports. I know how to read lines. I have 7 casinos ban me, so I set up my own sports book. I have 7 TVs in my house. I have 7 TVs in my office, and I'm building another villa in Cabo where there's gonna be another sports book in it. So I'm always watching the games. Put the work in. It's easy if you put the work in.
I don't think so, Dave, man. Don't. I mean, I could sit there for 18 hours and study sports and study athletes and never do what you do. So I think it's pretty cool. It's when you talk to people and maybe your friends and things like that, what's the reaction that you get when you when you have a casual conversation that's not so much all business?
They just think I'm a different monster. Everyone knows not to call me. I haven't talked to anyone in the last 3 weeks. I think even my girlfriend Holly, I've only seen once or twice this week, because when it's work time, it's 18 hours a day and I need to sleep and get my meditation in. So like my friends, I have actually nobody bothering me anymore. They know better. So I really haven't talked to anybody. I don't even have time to go to dinner because I have to get ready, drive, and I got to watch all the games. I'm so laser focused and dialed in right now that I have no social life and nothing but eat, sleep, and work.
Is there anything else? Like, I kind of like hearing about the achievements you pulled off in the betting world, but is there other than ones that you've mentioned, is there a particular bet or something you're proud of that maybe doesn't get the publicity that you're getting with some of these other ones?
I think the biggest thing I ever did was beating my federal case. I faced 40 years in prison, 19 alleged felony counts, and the whole world called me a criminal. And during those 3 years, most people would be suicidal, maybe turn to drug use, depression. I made more money those 3 years fighting the feds than I ever did in my 40 years previously, because I transformed from being a sports bettor, which my goal was to make $100,000 a month when I was betting, into a sports consultant because they banned me. And now I'm making a bad month for me is $1 million a month. That's a bad month. So I was able to overcome huge things. I always tell people for inspiration, it doesn't matter if you lose your dog, you lose a family member, you lose your job. Things happen in life. It's how you persevere through it. And if I can persevere fighting for my freedom, then there's no excuses.
When you talk about gamblers and guys that like to place bets, I would think the hardest thing is separating business from your heart. I mean, a lot of guys like to bet with their heart, and that's probably the first way to lose.
Yeah, the problem is, like, I love Mike Trout. I want his cards to go up. I watch every game, but I know when to give out against the Angels, and I know when to bet against Angels. Just like anything. Like with me, it's all business. You can't bet with your heart. People always ask me, who's your favorite team? Whoever's going to make my team money today. And I have no loyalty to teams. It's a business, and every day I have a new favorite team. Too many people out there bet with their heart.
Well, did you have any loyalty back in the day when you were growing up as a kid? You must have had a favorite team.
Yeah, when I was growing up, it was the Cubs because Harry Carey, WGN. Remember Jody Davis was my favorite player, the catcher. So I still remember the whole Cubs lineup from '84. I mean, that's the kind of memory I have. But growing up, I watched the Cubs. But when I got in the sports betting business, then you realize you can't bet with your heart. You bet with your mind and your brains.
Yeah. I mean, when I was growing up, I'd bet on my favorite teams and lose all the time. And it was just nickel and dime stuff. Do you remember your very first bet that you made?
Yeah, it was in Hawaii, and I learned you could bet on sports, and I was hooked because I love sports. It was $300, which I thought was a big bet at the time, and I lost, of course. And then I moved to Vegas because I wanted to be a professional sports bettor. And then I came here in 2001, and then one loss. And then I ended up beating the books, cracked the code, and then that's when everything went crazy when I hit the Royals, the Broncos, Holly Holm, Misha Tate. I mean, I was in national news for about a month straight for all those. There are always going to be record-breaking payouts because the casinos have now tightened up their guidelines, and they'll never let anyone bet $100,000 to win $2.5 or $2.3 million ever again.
That's interesting. How about the most random sport that's out there that you've heard of betting on outside of the Super Bowl? Those little fun picks they make for that game. But is there a random sport that you bet on at some point in your life?
No, I mean, sometimes if there's a soccer match, but it's really random. I mean, the craziest bet out there right now on the internet is if me and Holly are going to get married, if our engagement is going to last. So you can bet on me getting married right now, and the over-under was 3 months, 6 months, and we're going on 9 months right now. So, and these are real odds to see if we get married, and you can bet them online if Holly and I are actually going to tie the knot. It's pretty crazy.
She must be a pretty understanding woman with what you do.
I'm lucky because she worked for Fox Sports and she hosted the Golf Channel for a long time. And she knows how to work long days, and she understands that I'm the best in the world at what I do. And for me to be the best at what I do, I need to execute and focus. So she's been we had 5 months during COVID where I had time off, but right now I only see her maybe once, maybe twice a week. She's very understanding. Plus she sees the money coming in, so she can't complain.
Hey, what about for Seattle fans? Can you give them anything that is there ever going to be a time where you take the Mariners with massive odds to win the World Series?
No, not anytime soon. They're just not a good baseball team. They're rebuilding right now. I like their center fielder, Lewis. They had all that hype when King Felix was there, but he's gone. they're rebuilding. I mean, Kyle Seager's their best player, and the dude's like 40 years old and either hits 40 home runs and 300 strikeouts. I mean, you got to change the whole management system.
All right, last one for you. When you talk about, because the Seahawks are king up here, Super Bowl odds and things like that, do you like the Seahawks?
I like Russell Wilson and I like Pete Carroll, but they don't have the team to do it. See, you have to understand, sports, they go in runs, okay? The Patriots had a long run. Seattle had a good run. What goes up must come down. The Seahawks, they went up and then they went down. They're not good enough to win the Super Bowl. And to be honest with you, and I don't like to say this about anyone, I just have a gut feeling that Russell doesn't finish the season this year. I just see an injury coming up. And I don't like to – it's just I go with gut and intuition. I just think he doesn't have a good season due to an injury or bad offensive line. I just don't see the Seahawks. They can make the playoffs, but I don't see them going far.
Yeah, I think people think that too, that he's gone so far into his career that he's been able to avoid injuries so far and that the odds will catch up to him.
Yeah, I've been following him since he was at Wisconsin and NC State. He's done very, very well, and he's a good person. And I love Carroll. He's a player's coach, but I just don't think they have the talent.
All right, so the $400,000 Mike Trout card will likely break the record. I would imagine you've got this massive anticipation for this thing to be wrapped up.
Yeah, I just know what's going to happen. I mean, I just wait till the day of because I'm so busy on my work. But we're going to have a pretty big event. We're going to have some friends together. Holly's it's like a $2,000 cake. We're going to have a picture of the card on the cake. I'm sure the press is going to be there. It's going to go viral, just like the last card. But this is record-breaking. So I always tell people content is king. So I always record everything. I'll make videos. And just like when I bought the card for $400,000, it's all over the internet. I recorded everything. So I'll record the sale, and it'll be something good to talk about 10, 20 years from now.
Oh, yeah, for years, for sure. You study these things. So when you have a star like Aaron Judge, and some of these other guys that are really young still, is there an athlete out there in any sport that you think would be not that kind of valuable, but very valuable on a card?
No. Trout's one in a lifetime. People like Judge, but you know what? Judge is injury prone. Judge just hits home runs. Judge strikes out a lot, and Judge has protection in the lineup. Their Yankees, they get someone injured, they just sign another guy for $300 million and fill him in the hole. Just Trout, and the people call me crazy. I've been called crazy my whole life, but I think a good investment is I love Derek Carr. The reason being, not because I think I'm not saying he's a great quarterback. What I'm saying is this, and I'm very good at business, is that when the Raiders move to Vegas, it'll be the biggest thing that ever hit sports entertainment. The biggest thing. It's going crazy. Unfortunately, the stadium's closed. But when the Raiders start winning, and they had 5 primetime games for Las Vegas Raiders this year, more than any other NFL team. The NFL is not stupid. They're smart. All the attention being the Raiders. They start winning, who's going to get all the credit? The quarterback. Whose card's going to go up the most? The quarterback. You can buy Derek Carr rookies for $100 right now and flip them for a couple $1,000s. People think I'm crazy, but that's my biggest tip out there for people that want to get in the industry.
Oh, that's interesting, man. I mean, with the hockey team there and the NFL going there, and you live there, you probably sense a heck of a vibe, huh?
Well, I can't sense it because I'm locked in this room 18 hours a day. Sometimes I don't step outside. That's how much I'm working. But once a week, I'll check the paper. And, I know there's hype, but I'm just so focused on executing day to day. I really don't know what's going on outside.